Good morning. This week's devotion is No One is Alone. Several years ago, I was in a community theater version of Into the Woods. One of my favorite songs from it is No One is Alone. In the end, most of the characters had gone through horrible tragedy, and it seemed like no one was going to get their fairy tale ending. But then the cast comes together to sing No One is Alone. The story ends saying, their song ends saying, No one is alone. Someone is on your side. No one is alone. I think both the psalm and the gospel for this week touch on this point. Even in the midst of tragedy and pain and loss, we are never alone. Jesus is very clear in John 14:15 through 19. He says, If you love me, you will keep my commandments, and I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to be with you forever. This is the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it neither sees him or knows him. You know him because he abides with you, and he will be in you. I will not leave you orphaned. I am coming to you. In a little while, the world will no longer see me, but you will see me. And because I live, you also will live. The Bible never promised that we won't suffer. But God promises that we will not ever be alone. God is there holding us. Jesus is there crying with us. The Spirit is there giving us strength and upholding us. We are never alone. Even when our suffering is because of our own mistakes and sin, God still won't abandon us. In Psalm 66, the psalmist talks about going through fire and water and people riding over their heads. But God brought them through it all. And it ends with this word, Blessed be God who has not rejected my prayer or removed his steadfast love from me. We all go through rough times. We make mistakes. We get discouraged and sometimes depressed. Sometimes we feel alone and lonely. In these times, it is so good to know that we are not alone. God hears our prayers, and the Spirit won't leave us. Jesus promises that he will not leave us orphaned, and that is good news. But remember, we are also called to be Jesus' hands and feet here on earth until he returns. Into the Woods, in the end, they have come through the tragedy by upholding and supporting one another. As Christians, we are called to come alongside those who are suffering, those who are struggling, not to tell them what they should do or point out what they did wrong. We are called to remind them that they are loved and they are not alone. In seminary, they called this ministry of presence. Just be there. So I want you to know that you are not alone. I am here for you. And even if I fail sometimes, God will never leave you or forsake you. Have a blessed week.